So yesterday, LB posted a news. He posted the Tilray news, right? Pretty fast, right? So that was very impressive. And so he brought some pause stocks to our attention, and man, we definitely nailed Tilray. Even though when it was running, I didn't catch the bottom, but I think we caught it pretty early, and then after hours it's up. And I will share my reason for going in. The reason I have played Tilray many times in my life, made a lot of profits and some losses also by holding some options. But yesterday it seemed a little different, something very unusual, right? So we'll go over that in a bit. But first, let's go over SPX. Everything looks great, right? The stock market looks great right now. It's running, squeeze. People are back to being bullish. Their $5,000 targets coming again, right? And whatnot, right? I mean, that's what the green candles do to you, right? Now, the only thing that you want to make sure here is when we do get a nice little big rally, there's usually some consolidation and some back tests, all right? So just be careful of these if they happen so that you know you have time on your positions. S&P, last couple of times, this zone we covered a few times, we'll cover it one more time. We're approaching to something similar. It's a first test above the 50 MA after all these big tensions we had with Russia, Ukraine, huge dips, huge volatility. This is the first test above 50 MA. Do we continue holding? I don't know. My bias, I still stand by my target in the coming time, a month. It does not have to be today or this week, right? Obviously not. But I do believe that we get our zone, this zone right here gets retested once, right, on a bigger time frame. Let's see when that happens down the road in the months. If I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we completely go to 5,000. That's fine. I don't have a crystal ball, but this is just something that I see technically, and I think it's just forming up even better now, to be honest, right? And apart from this, some individual names will run, but let's just talk about some levels on SPX until then. First, the 4,500, near 4,510. This zone is going to act as the biggest magnet right now. So if we do go towards 4,600, it's very likely that we come and visit 4,500, 4,510 area one more time, right? If we get to 4,600, I don't know if we're going to get there, but let's see, right? But the market is very strong, it's holding up well. Anything is possible. And then to the downside, right now we're currently trading near 45.35-ish, which is good. 45.35, I have my first resistance, and then 45.50 is the next resistance off from here. Right, and to the downside, obviously 4,500, and then we got 44.80, and then all the way towards 44.30, which happens to be the volatility trigger, right, which will also be a strong support. We trade underneath there, then obviously we'll see what happens, right? And then just keep in mind a retest of 50 MA, right? And pay attention to individual stocks, all right? Now, because S&P is the top 500 stocks, like all put together, but there will be some individual names that are set up great. If the market holds, they can obviously run, right? They can run a lot more than the indices, all right? So SPX, just keep this in mind. Let's see what happens. And one thing that's setting up here that I see, I'm not bearish or bullish, don't get me wrong, but I'm just trying to show you guys something, right? And then we see how this goes on. God bless. And now next we got Tilray. The pause stocks, right? So LB came up with the news, gave it to us a lot of volume, but this time something that was different was this. On the volume, for once, after given the last few squeezes, that volume actually held and we're above the 50 MA. Now this has happened in the past as well, right here, and the squeezes were not able to hold. They were not able to hold. What happens this time? I have no idea, right? But I can say one thing. We're in from the lows. Our equity's up huge. Turkey, your calls amazing. You're up huge. Main case, your $8 calls for today. The lottos you bought, they're going to be up huge if you're listening, right? But Tilray, the resistance 850 is hard. If we get a hold through 850, I think $10 is likely, right? And me, I will take profits or scale out slowly above 850. But again, here you are up nice, so please manage, right? And just one negative news has to come from the news from the federal legalization. Then no, it's not happening. Just one negative news, one little article, and these things are gonna flush hard. All right. But again, if it holds, if the news is legit and the bill gets passed, and I'm still reading up on it. I don't know what's the exactly is going on there, to be honest, right? So I don't want to give any assumptions regarding that. I do need to look more into it. But if we do get positive names on these names, on the pause stocks, and something goes up, do they have the potential to squeeze? Yes, the first target that I see on a big squeeze is right here, which is 12 bucks. And if we hold above 12 bucks, the next one is all the way right here, which is roughly 18 bucks. But these squeezes always come and go, so take your profits. If you want to hold long, I would suggest scale out at least, right? Take advantage of this news, scale out and use some profits to roll out maybe. But one thing that I do want to mention, why did I buy Tilray? Just example, the June monthly options. June monthly options. Now on this $1 strike, on this, sorry, $1 increase in Tilray yesterday, the June options, I think it was a 15 strike, one of those strikes, they went up by 500%. Now don't tell me it's because of implied volatility. You know, I probably know a lot more about implied volatility than you. But now that is the key. Yes, the 1 day Tilray had 20% move, but those options gained way too much. Like it was across the board Tilray options, the market makers increased them by a lot of premium. So that basically maybe they already know. Obviously they have a hint that this stock is about to squeeze and there's a lot of short interest, and if this gets covered, something like not GME, but like a major squeeze is possible. Tilray can easily get to 10, 12 in like 1-2 days, right? These stocks are volatile. They're not loyal to nobody, not shorts, not longs, and when they go in the opposite direction, they go by a lot. So June monthly options, the increase was too much. It shouldn't have been like that. And today, if these premiums hold, I'm gonna see if the premiums are held, and I see some call flow, which usually sometimes does not show up on the scanner. And if I see it, I might even take some options further out. All right, because we've seen in the last 1-2 years, the squeezes are crazy when they happen, and all these retail kids, they get on it and they fall in love with the stock that they won't sell even if they die. Right, AMC is the biggest example. A bunch of fools in that stock. But let's see what happens with AMC. Don't get me wrong, but so we take advantage of that, right? So we want to be early. So I'll keep an eye on Tilray options. If I see it, then maybe I'll use my profits to go further on Tilray. But here, I will manage my profits. I'm not gonna hope for something, right? I just want to take profits in this market. That's how I want to play it. CGC also up very nice. Already went over it, just above the 50 MA. Let's see if we can turn around here. ACB, if they all go, I think all these stocks are going to go. The setup is similar, just above the 50 MA. So watch this 50 MA, which in the past has acted great. And let's see if we can get one of these squeezes on Tilray and whatever you might be in. All right. Next setup T brought to my attention was PayPal. T, when he was looking at options yesterday, I saw something, and I the 120 options for next week were priced decent, $1.65, and a lot of nice great setups. And PayPal looks like is ready, and on a daily bull flag, just playing this from a pure technical perspective, nothing but technical perspective, that there's a nice little bull flag forming, and if the market holds, and goes, I want to have some upside exposure on some individual names. So S&P on the indices, I'm not expecting too much volatility. Nilith, you asked for a strangle play. This can be one strangle play if you want to play. I would buy 2 months out, $20 out, because if the move, even if this makes a $10 move towards 126 in the next 2-3 days, which is very possible, it can even happen today. Who knows? If we take out these highs above 117.50, 118, 119, we can definitely see the 50 MA, which is roughly this zone, and it makes sense because that's where the next resistance is basically, right around these levels. All right, so PayPal is one that I would keep an eye on for strangle, and then we see what happens. Bull flag. Next, Google. Split. This stock was strong, last year. It was running after COVID. Amazon didn't run, but Google was one stock that was running. And Google is actually forming a very strong base here. It's forming a very strong base, and it's beautiful the way it's setting up. Now, some people, are worried that they're gonna miss the split run up. If you're worried, go for it. Nobody's stopping you. I hope you catch the bottom. Equity scale-ins, some were done yesterday. We did alert in the MSL admins equities, if you go back on these days when there was a huge dip, that across the board some equity scale-ins are good, and we're adding. All right, so not that I did not buy. So it's all in the admin equities channel. Even though I was bearish going here, but Google has been forming a really nice base. It's holding strong. Gave us a test of 2,500 from 3,000. Right, and now here there is some resistance, so I don't want to chase here, but when I start seeing some flow or some buying is coming in, then I will see into the split how I want to play. There will be a bunch of opportunities on Google, Amazon. I'm not worried, because when we trade options, some people, you guys get into this bad habit that you always want to catch the bottom. Catching the bottom is great, but have you ever held throughout the entire squeeze on an option? Just ask yourself that. If you sold after 100-200% move, that you can catch anytime on these setups when they happen. Right, so some people, if you feel that you missed Google here, ask yourself, were you going to hold an option from here to here? realistically, for real, you probably wouldn't be, right? Very low chances. All right. So on Google, I think there's the setup is still to happen, and we'll see a breakout here if it happens, and we'll catch it, right? MSTR, Bitcoin stocks are definitely running. This is an amazing setup that I see on a 50-minute, and if Bitcoin holds up and is strong, we can definitely see a lot more. So we are approaching the 500 zone. This is resistance, and I think pre-market we're trading at 492 if I'm not wrong, unless it's changed now. So above 500 we see, and to go with this, obviously Bitcoin will, something that we do want to keep an eye on. Bitcoin, right? So far, let's go on the daily chart. It's holding well, right? Nice little squeeze, right? If this bear flag does not play out, then obviously Bitcoin has a long way to go to the upside, right? If we break above, sorry, my lines are in black. If we break above this 43, 46K and we hold above 46K, Bitcoin's probably going to go much higher, right? And if Bitcoin goes, then obviously these stocks will go. And Bitcoin is at resistance, so just be careful, right? It is at resistance, it needs to get through. We don't want any surprises to downside next week on a Monday. Like there's a huge gap and all of a sudden people are stuck in their long positions. Just keep that in mind. I will be taking some profits today, and I most likely won't be holding much over the weekend unless other than my bear spreads, right? And bear spreads because it's my risk of my safety for downside. And then Apple, just crazy run. This is a very rare run that happens, right? And too big much of a run. And the play that I have on Apple right now currently is 172.50 and then 177.50 bear spreads, and I'm gonna hold those. I'm not gonna sell those, right? Because I think Apple had a huge run. It definitely needs to breathe. Can I be wrong? Can I just continue towards 190, 200? Who knows, right? They had a news yesterday on their hardware, the subscription for iPhones or something to pay monthly. And here we are approaching a top very nice resistance point. So let's see how this holds. And Apple, if it goes towards 169, a retest for 50 MA, and if it builds a bull flag, so 50 MA right here, if it builds a bull flag, right here, something like this, and it comes up, then we'll see what we want to play, right? So for now, I have my bear spreads, which I'm holding. I took some profits, but right now Apple is at a very hard resistance, and I would not be surprised if we get some consolidation on Apple here, or if it gets rejected, right? If Apple gets rejected, comes back to the 50 MA and breaks underneath, and some surprises happen, the next time it comes back to this 150 zone, the market will not be in a pretty sight if it gets there. I'm not saying it's coming there, but if it gets there. But it did give us that 150 on the weekly. This was a beautiful pickup, right? We made a lot of money on Apple, and this was a very nice test on the 50 MA. So all you had to do was just have the places orders in at 150 for equity and up. My order was in at 140. I was looking for a 150 MA break. I did not get my fills on equity, but that's fine. I'm not going to chase it here either. There's a long way to go. Many months remaining in the year, right? So let's see. But so far the weekly looks super bullish. A nice little breakout from this trend line, and let's see. It is in the resistance zone here. Let's see what happens here. Twitter, this name I've been keeping an eye on for the past few weeks, acting a little different because it was actually on its own for the past 2 weeks or so. It was not following the market at all. It was on its own. On these days, it was on its own. If you guys compare with the market, and there was definitely something going on. A lot of volume came in, right? And now we are just approaching this resistance zone right now. And let's see if we continue holding above 40. And if the market is strong and we go, this has a little bit of short interest, this can definitely get going, right? And I think Twitter has something to do with Bitcoin. I think they announced it before, but I'm just waiting for some more news. And if Bitcoin goes, then I think this name, just keep an eye on it. You guys can look up the news online, but they might announce something with crypto. All right, and then obviously we have earnings coming up next month on all of tech, on Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook. They're all reporting earnings next month in April, and that will be a big tell. And after April, based on their comments, we see how the market reacts, right? And then AMD, beautiful call out by T yesterday, and LB. I think we were all on it. I jumped in equity early, at the open, and unfortunately I got flushed out. So I stopped out for a minor loss, but man, it was a huge day and it ran up nice, right? But now AMD 120 is very hard. If we hold above 120 hold, right? Next level we have is all the way towards 124, and then obviously right here, which is 128, 124, 128. Baba is down pre-market, I believe. Chinese are red, and on Baba also just stuck at the 50 MA. Is stuck at the 50 MA, and pre-market is down. I think if it comes to fill the gap up and we get above 116, 119, then I'll give you guys a number on Baba. There's 119 plus close. After this formation, we get a 119 plus close, 140 very likely, and I'll probably buy calls. So now I'll be looking at this setup very closely, a 119 plus close on the daily, and if we get that, there's gonna be a nice little gap move towards 140. All right, and it's Friday today, guys. Indices low volatility. If you're looking for strangle plays, individual names are the go-to. All right, and Bitcoin options on the stocks won't be cheap, so you have to be very selective with what you buy, and your position sizing will matter. All right, manage risk. No need to rush into anything. God bless. Around voice chat all day. Great trades, great scalps yesterday, and with this I'll end it, and we'll see you guys back in the premium chat.